Okay, let's unpack this. That moment when your HVAC system starts making noises. Maybe less of a comforting hum and, I don't know, more like an ominous groan.
Yeah, we've all been there. Or worried about it.
And you find yourself wondering, okay, is this it? Is this the repair that's finally going to push me over the edge, into needing a whole new system?
Right. That feeling of uncertainty, maybe even a little dread about the potential cost.
Yeah.
It's pretty universal for homeowners.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. The big question really is, how do you know?
How do you know when it's actually time to say goodbye to the old AC or the
Right.
furnace or the heat pump and invest in something new instead of just, paying for another repair?
What are those real telltale signs?
Exactly.
So to guide us, we're tapping into some really valuable real-world insights today.
Okay.
Our source is a post from Peter. He's a heating and cooling technician. They serve Northern Virginia.
Right. Boots on the ground perspective.
Yeah, and the post is called When It's Time to Replace Your HVAC Warning Signs. It sounds like it's just packed with that practical advice you only get from someone who actually sees this stuff day in, day out.
And that's what's so great about it. It's grounded in what actually happens in people's homes. These aren't just, like, theories.
No abstract ideas here.
No, these are the real red flags that a technician like Peter finds. So our mission, really, in this deep dive is to give you clear, actionable info.
Right, so you can navigate these decisions with more confidence.
Yeah, understand the critical signs, make informed choices, maybe have a few aha moments about your own setup as we go through it.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's start with air conditioning, AC units.
Right.
When should you really start thinking replacement? Peter highlights some key things.
He does. And one of the biggest ones is just, well, complete system failure.
Yeah.
Central AC just giving up the ghost.
Like the compressor.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
compressor is like the heart of the system, right?
Mhm.
Pumping that refrigerant. If that burns out or you've got major leaks in the coils,
Mm-hmm.
that's often a huge repair bill. We're talking maybe half the cost, sometimes even more, than just getting a brand new, more efficient unit.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty clear financial signal then.
It really is. Replacement often becomes the smarter money move long term in that case.
Peter also mentions inefficient SEER ratings. Now, SEER, that's seasonal energy efficiency ratio, right?
Correct.
Why does that matter so much? Break that down a bit.
Sure. Think of SEER like miles per gallon for your car, but for your AC.
Okay.
Lower SEER rating.
Mm.
Your AC is using more electricity to give you the same amount of cool air. Older systems, I mean, they can have really low SEER ratings compared to today's standards.
So upgrading actually saves you money.
Potentially, yeah, a lot. Like going from an old SEER 10 maybe up to a modern SEER 16. Peter's experience probably shows that could cut your cooling costs almost maybe 40%. That's real cash back in your pocket every month.
That's significant. Now, here's one that Peter brings up that's really interesting, the R22 refrigerant phase out.
Oh yeah, this is a big one.
Why? What's the deal with R22?
So R22, it used to be the standard refrigerant in older AC systems for years, but turned out it wasn't great for the ozone layer.
Right.
So they phased out making it and importing it. Think of trying to find like leaded gasoline for a really old car.
Okay. Scarce and expensive.
Exactly. R22 is becoming that. So if your older AC uses R22 and springs a leak, just getting it recharged could cost a small fortune.
So much that replacement becomes the better option.
Often, yes.
Huh.
It just makes more financial sense to replace the whole thing with a modern unit that uses the readily available, more environmentally friendly refrigerants.
Mm-hmm.
Prices for R22 can easily double or triple soon.
That totally makes sense. Peter also talks about something maybe less obvious, systems that are too big or too small for the house.
Yeah, sizing is crucial.
Yeah.
And it affects your comfort and your energy bills.
How so?
Well, an oversized unit, it cools the house down super fast, then shuts off, then it kicks back on again. Short
Right.
cycles. That leads to uneven temperatures, poor humidity control, and it wastes energy. It's like flooring it in a powerful car just to slam on the brakes a block later.
Gotcha. And undersized.
Undersized just runs constantly. It struggles and struggles, maybe never even reaches the temperature you set on the thermostat.
That sounds like a lot of wear and tear.
It is, puts a huge strain on the system, shortens its life. Getting the right size is key. Replacement is often the only way to fix a bad sizing issue.
No, age. That's always a factor, isn't it? Peter suggests if your AC is, say, over 10, maybe 15 years old, and it keeps breaking down.
That's a pretty strong signal, yeah. AC units, like anything mechanical, they have a lifespan. Once they hit that 10-15-year mark, efficiency drops, breakdowns become more frequent.
And those repair costs.
They add up fast. If you're calling for service every summer on an old unit, investing that money into a new, reliable system just makes more sense.
Okay. And what about that really frustrating situation? Your AC is blowing warm air, even though you think you've kept up with maintenance.
Oh yeah, Peter flags that one too. It's a major red flag.
Why?
Because if you have been doing the maintenance, changing filters, getting checkups, and it's still not cooling, that likely points to a serious internal problem.
Like the compressor again or coils?
Could be those major components. And again, repairing those can be so expensive that replacement just becomes the logical next step.
Speaking of coils, Peter also brings up rust and corrosion on the evaporator and condenser coils.
Right. Think of that rust or corrosion like a layer of insulation on the coils.
Preventing heat transfer.
Exactly. It makes it harder for the AC to absorb heat from inside your house and release it outside. So less cooling, more energy used. And severe corrosion can even cause refrigerant leaks.
Which we know can be costly, especially with R22.
Precisely.
Okay, here's a situation some folks might run into. Home renovations. Adding on, Peter points out why this might mean a new AC.
Yeah, if you change the size or even just the layout of your home significantly, your original HVAC system might not be zoned correctly anymore. It might just be too small now.
Like adding a big sunroom.
Perfect example. The AC designed for the original house might leave that new sunroom feeling like an oven while other rooms get too cold. A replacement system, properly sized and zoned for the new space, is often the best solution for comfort everywhere.
Peter also mentions failed blower motors or indoor fan coils. Are those usually big deals in split systems?
They definitely can be. The blower motor, that's what pushes the cool air through your ducts, right?
Correct.
The indoor coil is where the cooling actually happens.
Yeah.
If either of those fails, your AC just isn't going to work right. Depending on how old the rest of the system is and its overall condition, replacing the whole unit might be smarter long-term than just fixing that one part.
And finally, for ACs, Peter mentions persistent noise or vibration, the kind that repairs just don't seem to fix for good.
Yeah, those ongoing rattles, groans, vibrations, they often signal something deeper going wrong mechanically.
Like worn bearings or compressor issues.
Could be. These like worn bearings, a loose fan blade, maybe even problems inside the compressor itself. You might quiet it down temporarily, but the root cause is still there, waiting to cause a bigger, more expensive failure later. Replacement offers that peace of mind.
Okay, wow. That's a really thorough look at AC replacement triggers, drawing on Peter's experience. Super helpful.
Yeah, covers a lot of ground.
All right, let's switch gears. Heating systems. Furnaces, boilers, electric resistance heat. What are the big warning signs there? Peter starts with a really serious one. A cracked heat exchanger in a gas or oil furnace.
Absolutely. This one is non-negotiable. A cracked heat exchanger isn't just about efficiency or breakdowns, it's a major safety risk.
Carbon monoxide. Right.
Exactly, carbon monoxide. It's deadly, and a crack can let it leak into your home's air. If a tech like Peter finds a cracked heat exchanger, that furnace must be replaced immediately. There's no safe repair for that.
That's sobering. Really underscores why you need those professional checkups. What about other signs? Maybe less immediately dangerous, but still important. Peter mentions pilot light or ignition problems in older units.
Right. If you've got an older gas furnace and the pilot light keeps going out or the electronic ignition system keeps failing, that's often a sign the whole unit is just getting worn out.
Annoying, but maybe points to bigger issues.
It often does. It might seem minor, but it suggests general wear and tear. More problems are likely on the way.
Age comes up again for heating systems too. Peter suggests that 15 to 30-year range. And declining efficiency.
Yeah, heating systems tend to last a bit longer than ACs, maybe 15, 20, even 30 years sometimes. But just like ACs, their efficiency drops over time.
Just doesn't heat like it used to.
Right. Older components just can't convert fuel to heat as effectively, so your heating bills creep up. If your system's in that older bracket, and especially if you're noticing other issues, replacement should definitely be on your radar.
We mentioned carbon monoxide with cracked heat exchangers, but Peter really emphasizes CO detection itself as a critical reason for replacement. Worth saying again.
Cannot stress it enough. CO is invisible, odorless, deadly. If your CO detectors go off and you trace it back to your furnace, don't wait, don't gamble, replace it. Safety first, always.
Okay, what about performance? Peter mentions frequent cycling or the furnace just not keeping the house warm.
Yeah, classic signs of a struggling system. Frequent cycling, turning on and off way more than normal means it's not running efficiently. It might be oversized, undersized, or just failing.
And not keeping up.
If the furnace runs and runs, but the house still feels chilly or certain rooms are cold, that's a clear sign it's lost capacity. It just can't do its job effectively anymore.
Now, for people with older boilers, Peter brings up retrofitting for energy efficiency. Sometimes replacement is better.
Yeah, older boilers can be real energy hogs compared to modern ones. You might be able to retrofit some parts to boost efficiency a little. But sometimes the cost of those upgrades, plus the age and overall state of the boiler, just means it makes more sense financially to replace the whole thing with a new high-efficiency model. Peter probably helps people weigh those options often.
And just like AC, Peter notes that undersized heating can cause problems, cold spots specifically.
Exactly the same principle. If the furnace or boiler wasn't sized right initially, or maybe you added on to the house,
Yeah.
you'll get those rooms that just never feel warm enough.
So replacement ensures even heating.
Right. A correctly sized new unit fixes that comfort issue and makes sure the system isn't overworking itself.
Looking ahead, Peter mentions needing upgrades for new efficiency codes or electrification.
Yeah, this is becoming a bigger factor. Building codes get updated, demanding higher efficiency. And more people are looking to go all electric.
So older systems might not cut it anymore.
They might not meet the new codes. Or if you want to switch entirely to electric heat, maybe with a heat pump, you'd obviously need to replace the old fossil fuel furnace. Peter, working out there, would be right on top of those local codes and trends.
And lastly, for heating, Peter flags electrical panel limits when switching to electric furnaces.
Good point. Electric furnaces draw a lot of power. If you're switching from gas or oil, you absolutely need to check if your home's main electrical panel can handle that load.
Might need an upgrade there too.
Very possibly. An older or smaller panel might need upgrading as part of the furnace replacement project. That's an important cost factor. Peter and his team at PRO Electric plus HVAC would definitely assess, given their name.
All right, super clear on AC and traditional heating, thanks to Peter's insights. Now, heat pumps. They're getting more popular, right?
Definitely, especially for efficiency.
But they wear out too. When is it time to replace a heat pump? Peter starts with a familiar one. Compressor failure.
Yep, same story. Compressor's the heart. If it fails in a heat pump, it's usually a massive repair cost. Given that cost and the unit's age, replacement is often the way Peter advises people to go.
What about something specific to heat pumps? Peter mentions reversing valve failure. Stuck in heating or cooling mode.
Ah, the reversing valve. That's the clever part that lets a heat pump be a heat pump switch from cooling to heating.
Okay.
If that valve fails, yeah, you might be stuck getting cold air in January or hot air in July. Not ideal.
Can it be fixed?
Sometimes the valve itself can be replaced, but the labor involved can be pretty high. And again, if the unit's getting old anyway, Peter probably often sees that it makes more sense to put that money towards a new system.
A common complaint about older heat pumps is they don't work well when it gets really cold. Is that a sign it's dying, according to Peter?
It can be, yeah. Older models especially just weren't as good at extracting heat from very cold outside air.
Yeah.
Technology's improved a lot.
So if your struggle's in deep winter.
If it's an older model and really can't keep up when the temperature plummets, upgrading to a newer heat pump, maybe one specifically designed for colder climates, can make a world of difference, both for comfort and your electric bill. Peter likely recommends this in Northern Virginia winters.
Refrigerant leaks again. Specifically in aging heat pumps. Same calculation as ACs.
Pretty much, yeah. From Peter's perspective, finding and fixing leaks in an older heat pump can be a chasing your tail situation. Costly repairs, maybe recurring problems.
Not worth sinking money into.
Often not, if the unit is old and inefficient anyway. Replacement with a reliable new system usually makes more economic sense in the long run, as Peter would likely explain.
Peter's post highlights upgrading to variable speed inverter technology. Why is that such a big deal for heat pumps?
Variable speed is fantastic tech. Instead of just being on or off, full blast or nothing, it can adjust its speed, run slower when you only need a little heating or cooling, ramp up when you need more.
Benefits.
Way more consistent temperatures, less cycling on and off, better humidity control in summer, and importantly, significant energy savings compared to older single-speed models. That's probably a key point Peter makes when discussing replacements.
Interesting point Peter raises, replacing because of tax credits or rebates.
Yeah, that can definitely tip the scales. Governments and utilities often offer incentives for installing new high-efficiency heat pumps.
So the rebate makes replacement more affordable.
Exactly. If you find you qualify for a good chunk of money back, it can make replacing an older, less efficient system suddenly look much more attractive financially. Peter probably keeps up to date on those local offers.
Peter also mentions failures in mini-splits, the ductless systems. Are the reasons for replacement similar?
A lot of overlap, yes. Compressor failure, Refrigerant leaks, same issues can happen. But mini splits add another layer.
The indoor units.
Right, the individual heads. If one or more of those indoor units fails or keeps malfunctioning and it's out of warranty or parts are hard to get, you might need to replace that head or sometimes even the whole system. Peter sees these specific issues too.
What about misfishes in multi-zone systems? Peter mentions head malfunctions or mismatches.
Yeah, in a multi-zone setup, you have one outdoor unit serving multiple indoor heads. If one head keeps acting up, or if the total capacity of the indoor heads wasn't properly matched to the outdoor unit from the start.
Performance suffers.
Definitely. Efficiency drops, comfort is uneven. Peter would diagnose that and might recommend replacing components or potentially the whole system for optimal performance.
Indoor unit or air handler breakdowns where you can't get parts. Peter flags that for heat pumps too.
It's a real headache, especially with older or maybe off-brand models. The outdoor unit might be fine, but if the indoor air handler dies and compatible parts just aren't available anymore, you might be forced into replacing the entire system. Peter likely encounters this frustration.
And finally, for heat pumps, Peter mentions the strategic move, replacing a gas or oil system with an all-electric heat pump.
Right. This isn't about failure necessarily, but about choice. People wanting to reduce fossil fuel use, embrace electrification.
A green move?
Often, yes. And modern heat pumps can be very energy efficient. So replacing a furnace and a separate AC with one heat pump system can be a smart strategic upgrade. Peter and his team could definitely handle that kind of conversion.
Okay, that leads us right into mini splits specifically. Some overlap, as you said, but Peter highlights some unique replacement triggers too, like blower fan or motor issues in the indoor unit.
Exactly. Each indoor mini split head has its own little blower fan. If that fan fails, or the motor keeps having problems, weak airflow, weird noises,
Need to replace the head.
might need to replace that indoor unit, yeah. Or if it's a persistent issue across multiple heads or indicative of a larger system problem, maybe even the whole setup needs replacing, as Peter's likely seen.
Ongoing refrigerant leaks that just keep returning. Peter mentions this for mini splits as well.
Yeah, this seems particularly common with mini splits if the installation wasn't absolutely perfect, those intricate line sets.
Yeah.
Or if they get damaged somehow.
A constant expensive problem.
Can be. If you're constantly paying for leak searches and recharges, Peter would likely advise that it's probably a sign of a deeper issue that's just not economical to keep chasing. Replacement offers a fresh start.
Outdoor unit compressor burnout. Same sad story here too, as Peter knows.
Yep. Doesn't matter if it's central AC, a ducted heat pump, or a mini split. The compressor in that outdoor unit is vital. If it goes, it's usually game over for economical repair, especially on older units. Peter's assessment would likely lean towards replacement.
What if just one indoor head dies in a multi-zone mini-split setup? Peter's take.
Well, ideally, you just replace that one head, but compatibility can be a real issue with older systems.
Might not find a matching head.
Right. Or the new head might not communicate properly with the old outdoor unit and other heads. If the rest of the system is also aging, Peter might suggest that replacing the entire multi-zone system is often the more reliable, efficient path forward.
Poor performance from outdated or mismatched units. Peter flags this for mini splits too.
Definitely. Mini-split tech has improved so much, especially with efficiency and features. Older units just aren't as good.
And mismatching.
If the indoor heads and the outdoor unit weren't correctly matched for capacity from day one, maybe a bad installation performance will suffer, efficiency will be low, lifespan might be shorter. Replacement with a properly matched modern system is the fix Peter often advises.
Control board failures or unresponsive remotes. Are these small things that can point to bigger problems, in Peter's view?
A dead remote is usually simple, but a failing control board, that's the brain of the mini-split unit,
Gets its part.
can be very expensive to replace. And if the control board is failing on an older unit, it might be a warning sign that other expensive components are nearing the end of their life too. Peter might suggest replacement as a more prudent investment.
Peter also notes when a mini split just isn't cooling or heating well anymore, even right after maintenance.
Yeah, that's a big clue. If you've got it cleaned, serviced, filters changed, and it still can't keep up, that tells you the system is losing its fundamental capacity.
Internal wear and tear.
Likely. Some internal issue, maybe compressor wear, maybe minor leaks adding up, something routine service can't fix anymore. Strongly suggests replacement is needed, a diagnosis Peter would probably make.
Leaking indoor units. Peter mentions drain issues or cracked pans. Sounds messy.
Oh, it can be. Water damage is no fun.
Yeah.
Minor drain clogs are usually fixable. But if the plastic drain pan inside the indoor unit is cracked, that can lead to persistent leaks.
Replace the pan?
Maybe. But depending on the unit's age and overall condition, replacing the whole indoor unit or even the system might be the safer, more reliable fix Peter recommends.
What if you just can't get parts for your mini split? Peter mentions parts being unavailable or way too expensive.
Yeah, that's a dead end, unfortunately. Happens with older models or brands that aren't common anymore. If a key part breaks, motor, board, whatever, and you literally can't buy a replacement, or the part costs almost as much as a new unit, your hand is forced. Replacement is the only option.
And finally, Peter brings up that really frustrating one. The system was installed wrong from the start and just never worked right.
Ugh. Yeah. Bad installation plagues HVAC systems, improper line set routing, incorrect wiring, wrong charge. It leads to nothing but problems.
Poor performance, inefficiency.
Premature failures, endless service calls. If you've got a mini split that's been a lemon since day one, chances are the installation was botched. Peter and his team would likely say the best, maybe only, way to get reliable comfort is a complete do-over. Remove the old system, install a new one correctly.
Wow. Okay. So wrapping this deep dive up, drawing on all that great insight from Peter at PRO Electric plus HVAC, it really seems clear there are definite signs it's not always guesswork.
Not at all. Replacement becomes the sensible choice for clear reasons. Not just catastrophic failure, but those recurring problems, the drop in efficiency, safety issues, old tech becoming obsolete.
It adds up.
It really does. So we hope listening to these scenarios Peter highlighted helps you reflect. Do any of these sound familiar? That noise your AC makes? The furnace struggling on cold nights?
Are those little annoyances maybe painting a bigger picture?
Exactly. A picture of a system that may be reaching the end of its useful road. Peter's insights give you a good framework to think about that.
And hey, if you're listening in Northern Virginia, Fairfax, Loudoun, Arlington, Prince William counties, Peter and the team at PRO Electric plus HVAC are right there. A local resource if you need that expert eye.
Absolutely. And remember, while replacement costs money up front, think long-term.
The benefits.
Right. A new, efficient system, like the ones Peter installs, means better comfort, lower energy bills month after month, and just reliability, peace of mind.
That peace of mind is worth a lot. Okay, so as you think about all these signs Peter laid out, here's a final thought for you to chew on. What's the real cost of holding on to your aging HVAC system? It might be more than just the repair bills, right? Maybe it's costing you comfort, extra energy dollars, maybe even just adding stress.
Worth thinking about.
Could be worth taking a closer look at your system's age, its efficiency rating, and keeping Peter's expert advice in mind.